Cheers, everyone. Welcome to this super broadcast. Do you like what I did there? Thank you guys all for interrupting your Super Bowl Sunday to come and drink some Irish whiskey. We have a very, very special guest tonight. I am so excited for this one. See who we have all in chat today. Five fingers, you're always usually the first one here. Cheers to you, buddy. I appreciate it. Kathy Hughley, it's good to see you. Christine, the better Vasco. I am so excited. So Christine is the very first person to get a 4-Leaf Whiskey t-shirt from my merch store. Thank you so much, Christine. Next time I am in Cleveland, I'm definitely going to owe you a pint at Gormley's. Hey, Emily. Team went in. It's good to see you, Emily. Thank you for joining us today. Mr. James Morgan, how are you doing? I appreciate you joining me tonight. Anthony Bourbonia Fight. Anthony, let me know if you're going live tonight. And if you are one of my renters, would you guys please put the link to Anthony's stream in chat so everybody can check out his stream tonight. He goes live. Typically, it's midnight for us here on the East Coast. Cheers, Sugar Kitty. It is good to see you as always. Thank you so much for joining me again. And Anthony reminding us all to smash that like button. I'm going to try to get you guys in and out of here in like an hour-ish. I heard there's a little bit of football being played tonight. I stopped caring last week when the Bengals lost. I'm not even a Bengals fan, but you can't not root for Joe Burrow. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. I want to make sure I got everybody. Hey, Marty. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining me. I got a little care package from Marty in the mail. I am so excited to try all that. Though I'm going to bring in my special guest that was so gracious to agree to come on and drink these with me today. You know her from Scotch on the Bayou, Leanne.
Slandra, y'all, how you doing? Good to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. As soon as I got these, I'm like, I want to share these with someone who really appreciates the history behind it. And ever since I did your stream with Shayla, I love your content. I've been trying to follow all your content. And I'm like, man, you were honestly the first person that jumped to mind. I'm like, Leanne will appreciate this.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it because I know I'm going to get schooled because I don't know a whole lot about Irish. And it's very apparent that you do. And so I'm super stoked.
I drink a wee bit of it, just a wee bit. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
So for those of you who have not heard of it, this is Blackwater Distilling Company or Blackwater Distillery. They are located in Ballyduff in County Waterford. They could not name their whiskey actually Blackwater Distillery because there is a distillery in I believe it's Maryland that's called Blackwater Distillery. So they called theirs Dirt Grain Irish whiskey, and it all came in this nice little box. And you had to get all four, which I was a sucker. I bought them before the stream was even ended when I did the tasting with them. Once you get to actually experience it, it was so cool. Thank you, Sugar Kitty, for sharing that link. Everybody who isn't subscribed to Leanne, please do subscribe. I'm not kidding. Her content blows mine out of the water. It is so cool.
No. We all have a place at the table, and we all bring our own thing. And
I love all your videos.
That behind you is what you bring to the table. Because I know, I mean, truly, you know so much more about this, and you explain things so very well.
Thank you.
I'm just it's all good. We're there to compliment, not compete.
That woman, if you want to know about Scotch, man.
Hey, I'll help other people spend money big time. I'm real good at that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh, hey, Big Vic. Thank you for joining me tonight. I think you and I, people like us are definitely helping to support those countries' economy big time.
Yeah.
Pretty sure in the last year I have single-handedly supported the Irish economy. Hey, here you got one more subscriber. Thank you, Kathy.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate that. We're all trying to, just carve out a little spot of the algorithm world. Not for the sake of the algorithm, but to bring content we feel is valuable, right?
Exactly.
I mean, this is something that you did, and you went in and looked at this company and what they had to offer, and now you're imparting that information to everybody. So they're going to have an idea and a pretty good grasp of what they might get or experience because you're giving them that content. And I
I
think,
absolutely love sharing about all these new
yeah,
smaller Irish distillers that nobody's ever heard of before. But they're
yeah.
just doing such amazing stuff. They're knocking the big boys. They're getting a little notice.
And then that's something because I think that's what I have found is so many people just think about what's on the shelf and what's just kind of the spirits for the masses instead of those who might really kind of get into the weeds like we do,
Yeah.
and want to know the next story and the next story. Well, tell me
Mhm.
about what they're doing there, and uh, I think that's what's exciting because there's so much more than just what is on a shelf.
Yeah, I totally agree. And most of the stuff you see on the shelf, I try to, and you would relate, is the big names because the
Mhm.
smaller distillers, it ain't cheap to get your product here from Ireland to Scotland.
Oh no,
No.
no, no.
So yeah.
And I'm in the I've got most all of the accommodations figured out and the airplane tickets bought for my trip to Scotland in May, June. And now I'm thinking I'm trying to figure out luggage. So because I can't even imagine how many bottles I'm going to try to bring back.
Yeah.
I haven't brought back too many before, but this one's going to be.
I'm lucky Ireland, we have a spot where we can actually drop off the bottles and they will package and ship us back to them. So
Oh,
yeah, I
I'm
think
going to
my
need to
friend
find
when he
that.
went over last year brought back 60, 76 bottles, 60 some bottles. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, cheers, David Base. Thank you for popping in today. I appreciate it. And there's Richie Z. I saw you sneak in here a little bit
Hey,
ago, Richie.
Richie. I saw, yeah, and John and all kinds of folks I'm seeing. That's cool.
So this distillery was created by well, a part of the people who created it was Peter Mulryan. And some people know Peter's name because he wrote the Whiskies of Ireland book that I think came out in 2016, I think. He is also on the Irish Whiskey Association, and now he's on the Irish Whiskey Guild fighting against the current technical file for single pot still whiskey because it was pretty much created by the one brand that was making single pot still whiskey in the late 90s, which was Irish Distillers. So you're going to see this year stuff like this. This is going to be the year when you're going to start seeing a lot of mixed mash bill Irish whiskey that doesn't have any designation on it, that just says Irish whiskey and that's it, because it doesn't fall into any other category. The other Vasco says hi, but he is cooking and not speak for himself. I will be doing that after this. Yeah.
Me too. I tell my husband we'll eat at halftime. my teams aren't in it either. You were talking about Joey B.
Yeah,
And
Joe.
being in Louisiana, Joey B was here.
Oh yeah. Go Joe.
I got to I was in the dome that last game he had for LSU. And oh my word, that was probably the most perfect football game I've ever seen in my entire life. But yeah, he and Chase were a lot of fun to watch in college. Goodness. Yeah, John, I was just kind of thinking about that, with the new American, well, especially the American single malt new definition, because they're on the parts of ratifying that and getting it all signed, sealed, and delivered.
Are they finally doing that? Because I've got Patrick Miller, who's a distiller for Talnua, which is American single pot still.
Right.
And he used to work at Stranahan's. So he's had some involvement in the American single malt. And I joke around with him. I'm like, when do you think they'll have a technical file for single pot still? Well, and he said probably 50 years after single malt, which ain't even close, but
yeah,
hopefully they're
close. But the still type was left open, so it's not strictly pot still, and that's because the American whiskeys. There's so many column stills that they had to give them a little help, and as far as not having to go through a complete infrastructure to make a single malt, and add a pot still.
Well, these, for the years that these recipes came out, would have been defined as single pot still whiskey. All of these. All of these under today's current standards don't qualify as single pot still whiskey, not one of them.
Huh. So they were
Mhm.
before, but not
Mhm.
on a modern definition.
2014, when they came out with the EU GI technical file for all of these, they said you could only have 5% of an other grain. And these all don't meet that requirement.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, but at the time that these were produced, there was not any stipulation, and these were common for most of them were common for their time.
So explain the number, like the mash bill number. Is that you said that's relegated to the year?
That is the year. So we'll get started on number one. Now, all of these, you guys will notice. I'll try to see if I can get this where it'll appear with because the labels are white.
Here, I'm gonna hold this part up for 08.
So you guys will notice these are very light in color. All of these are only distilled for 4 years. And that is intentional. Peter Mulryan said, historically, Irish whiskey did not sit in a cask for years and years and years. It was about the quality of the ingredients going in. You get flavor going in, you're going to have flavor coming out. So this first one is from a historic mash bill from 1938.
No, is it 38 or 08?
1838. I'm sorry, 1838.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to pull, so it also came with this snazzy little book.
Okay. Yep.
Which is Peter Mulryan wrote. This is his Irish single pot still manifesto, he called it. And I wanted to read, this is so cool in here that I wanted to read about this one. And I should have bookmarked that page. There we go. So this recipe is from, this mash bill was inspired by a mash bill recorded by Samuel Morwood in a philosophical and statistical history of the inventions and customs of ancient and modern nations in the manufacture and use of inebriating liquors from 1838.
Tea.
So this is 40% barley, this is 40% wheat, and 20% malt.
So when you say barley, so hold up for the Irish challenged of us. When you say, because I'm looking at the bill too, and I showed the wrong one, so I'm going to show this one. 38.
Yes.
In there. So it is 40% the laureate barley, meaning unmalted barley, correct?
Yeah.
And so then the 20% Canaway and laureate malt is
malted barley. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then the wheat, the Costello wheat.
The other thing about this, all of the Irish grains that these are made of are all from Ireland. They're all of it sourced in Ireland.
Man.
So this is from 1838. This is the only one that is pre-famine. At a time when there was a more abundance of wheat, the price of wheat had plummeted. So you could waste wheat on making whiskey. It was common for the farmers of the area to have it. And this was finished. He said he wanted to add just a little extra something. So this is completely aged in apple brandy casks.
That is amazing. Look how oily it is.
It's very, yeah. It's
oh my gosh, y'all.
And I didn't expect that for as much wheat notes as in it.
I love the nose on this.
Or wheat's in it, and there's no oat in that one. I get a lot of pear on this one.
Yeah. Like fresh pear, not cooked pear.
Like, yeah, very fresh, orchardy. Yeah. And that's got to be that, gosh, the level of the unmalted barley in here. Yeah, the 40%, the unmalted barley.
So about that. So that's one of the main characteristics for an unmalted barley is more fresh fruit.
Yeah, apple, pear, the fresh fruit. You typically, it's not uncommon to see that on the unmalted barley. And this is like orchard in a glass.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're going through and you see the fruit, you just snag it off the tree and chomp down on it. Yeah. Just that burst of fresh fruit. almost like, and even like pear skin. I know it's like, what does pear skin really? But it's
You can
just
tell a difference. It's not,
yeah,
I don't get as much sweetness when it's
right.
just the skin.
But you get the essence of the pear,
Yeah.
almost like because
Yeah.
I haven't tasted it yet. I'm still in the nose.
Yeah, it almost goes a little into artificial, but if you really get I'm like, okay, well, that's actually just the skin because it's not the
Yeah,
full juice that you're getting. Yeah. This is double distilled,
double, not triple.
not triple, which is
Man,
very
there's
uncommon
one
for single pot
oxymoron
still.
after another.
I
It's
know.
amazing.
I know, and
A plot
that is
twist
Peter
with
Mulrine in
Irish
a nutshell.
whiskey.
He took the book and tossed it out the window, and yeah. And he said he's not, he's not trying to rewrite history. What he wants to do is to establish this is what we should be seeing going forward. We shouldn't be pinned in by these tight regulations that all they are serving to do is creating a monopoly for one company.
Yeah, that is amazing. I'm getting a little bit of honey and a little bit of citrus too now. Almost like a lime.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is. See, a lime, a little grass on the palate. I'm getting a little grassiness from that.
All right, what's the ABV on this one? Woof.
It is a little bit. This would be the highest of the ones we have. This
Mm.
is 47.1.
Oh, hell, I thought that was a lot more than that
Mm-mm.
on the first taste. But I didn't pregame, so and I need a mm. So
Yeah, and
what's the
these names
availability of this? You have to get it over there?
you do. There are places. Irish Malts, I think, still has it. James Fox Dublin, I know that they do. They ship both of them ship to the U.S. Obviously, live and proof. They're at my house at least once a week. Um, and the box comes with all four. You also get the Single Pot Still Manifesto book that was written by Peter Mulrine.
That's cool.
It's
Nice
got a lot
packaging.
of neat quotes in it. It's got a lot of the testimony given by the different distillers in 1908 when they were trying to establish rules and stuff. It's really neat.
That's
And it's
interesting.
just a little book that came with it. But
It's like whiskey and history.
yeah, I know. I love that. That's why I'm
If
really
only this had occurred in college.
I know, right?
I can't. I tell myself all the time. I was like, I really wish I would have paid more attention in chemistry class. Once I got into whiskey, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, little did I know. Had I known then,
Mm.
not necessarily James Morgan, because it wouldn't qualify for anything. The closest we've had thus far is the one of them is the Kilbeggan small batch rye. That's another one that would have been a rye that would have been a single pot still whiskey, but because of the amount of rye in it, it doesn't qualify. They actually have to call it small batch Irish whiskey, and they can't and just they called it small batch rye. And that one was released, I think, 2017. I think it's 2017 that one came out. And that's been pretty popular. You can get that in the US.
Hmm. So what are the odds that they're going to be able to like change some stuff, or they're just okay calling it Irish whiskey?
They've come to an agreement on changing it to what historically would have been more accurate, which is a minimum of 30% malted barley, a minimum of 30% unmalted barley, and no more than 30% of any other grain. That's historically 100 years ago during all of this time what would have been the standard. So you've got the Irish Whiskey Association, which is basically Pernod Ricard. And then you've got the Irish Whiskey Guild, which is Blackwater, which is Culloden Distillery, Two Stacks Distillery, all the smaller guys.
Right.
JJ Corey. So they're all getting together and trying to change this legislation. And I think everybody is on paper, or at least getting together and agreeing it should be 30, 30, 30. Mm-hmm. Now it's just getting the EU technical file changed, which, the red tape, who knows how many years before we'll actually see it happen if it happens. I think when the market starts getting flooded with these mixed mash bill Irish whiskeys, I think you'll start seeing more progress in that direction.
Interesting.
Hopefully, you're going to start seeing, like I said, you're going to start seeing a lot of them. This was kind of one step in it, and just that it also was tying back specifically to the history. Killowan's released a couple mixed mash bill Irish whiskeys. You're going to see like the Powers Rye Irish whiskey that's getting ready to release here, or that has released here in a couple states. It's 100% rye. So it
Wow.
can't call itself anything but Irish whiskey.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
only because it was made in Ireland. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
So what do you think of this one?
I like it. It's heavier. Like, it's not as light as I had anticipated.
That isn't. Hey, Molasses, how are you doing?
Hey, Mom.
It isn't. And I think when you taste it, that's when you're like, oh yeah, this is a single pasta, because you still get that heavy oiliness that you typically get with those.
Okay. Did you say grassy notes on the palate a while ago?
I get a little grassy. Yeah.
Man, it took the second wave though to get it. Interesting.
Yeah, and I honestly, I'd poured myself some to start, so I'd sipped on it for a little bit before I got in there.
I'm digging that.
That one, of the one that we all reviewed, a lot of people like that one. And I think they like the apple and the citrus notes.
Very clean.
It is, yeah, it was very clean, which is opposite to this next one. So this next one is from 1893. Okay. So this would have been after the famine. So after the famine, nobody's using wheat anymore in their whiskey. Wheat is for human consumption. You're not going to waste it in whiskey. This is, the oats were, I guess, from what I read, they were abundant. They were cheap. They usually use out in horse. So you'll see horse feeds. You'll see some of that here. This is 40% barley, 35% malted barley, 15% husky oat, and 4% peated malted barley. This one is aged in a sherry cask, and this one is 43.1%. I think this one was the one. And this one was inspired by a mash bill recorded by J.A. Nettleton in The Manufacturer's Spirit from 1893.
Falling out of a chair.
This one, you definitely do get the peat on there.
Yeah, I get peat, but hardly any smoke.
No. I don't get a lot of smoke on this one.
If any.
I'm getting a little bit of the sherry.
Yeah.
This one almost smells heavier.
It does. And it's maltier to me on the nose.
Yeah.
Now that's
it's amazing once you take out the oat, take out the wheat. Cheers, Carlos. See, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey. I know that.
We are drinking Irish whiskey that was inspired by a mash bill from 1893.
The best history lesson you're ever going to enjoy. This is very interesting and so different.
I know, I get like
first
a chocolate, almost like a cigar, kind of like pipe tobacco.
Interesting.
So I had to bookmark this page because I thought you'd get a kick out of this. So the staff at Peter and the staff at Blackwater Distilling decided they wanted to do something really special with this first cask that they'd ever produced a whiskey out of, and it was this sherry cask. So they took it to a maker in Waterford and had it turned into a violin.
That's cool.
And you can see another page here.
That is
kind of see him standing there playing the violin.
That's freaking cool.
I thought, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, that is so rock and roll. I can't believe you made
Music
it
and
into a
whiskey,
fiddle.
2 of my favorite things.
So now they literally will walk around the distillery playing this fiddle. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. Though I really like this one. And it's not a lot of peat in it.
Mm-mm. It's like it was kissed by Pete, and that was it.
Yeah, it just reminds me of, like I said, it reminds me kind of like pipe tobacco. It's got some, and with
Yeah.
chocolate.
I mean, I get a little bit of a vegetal note. So, like complete transparency with me and Pete. So I I I get on my soapbox about there's peat and then there's smoke. And when some people, especially in Scotch, people, oh, I don't like that peaty whiskey. It's so smoky. And it's like, well, is it peat or is it smoke? And
Yeah.
peat to me is like dirt or organic kind of thing. I don't pick up on the medicinal notes that a lot of people do in peat. I just I don't get it. It has to be extremely strong for me to pick that up. Unfortunately, I've been using my nosing kit, and I can kind of get an iodine, inflection from time to time, but I don't like taste Lafroy and go, oh, that's a Band-Aid.
Oh, I do
It
big time
doesn't
on that.
do that. But I
That's
really
the
kind
only
of
one I do as well, is that one.
that's the only one you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like an Ardbeg to me is just like lemon and salt. It's just, I mean, and smoke, lots of smoke. And even the smoke, like what kind of smoke? And you kind of drill down from that. But this to be peated to me is quite complementary to the other parts, which I feel. So this is a sherry, but I'm getting some kind of vegetal notes on it.
And there are, I mean, there's 40% of the unmalted barley in here. So that also,
So
because
that's where,
that's where I think I got the grassy note on the other one.
yeah.
Hey, AM a sour whiskey. Well, what that would mean is 30% of that mash bill could be made up of other grain, no matter what that component was, but the total of those could not go over 30%. So you could have 20% wheat and 10% oat. That would be fine.
Oh, okay.
And hopefully they'll get to that point. Right now, or I mean, they could make something like that. I mean, this is proof. They just can't put a title on it other than Irish whiskey. It would be one of these that it's being considered a mixed mash bill. And especially if you're ordering things from over there, you're going to see a lot of this now. But I like this one. I think this is this one, I don't get the youth on it as much.
No, it feels and they're all 4, you said.
They're all 4 years old, yeah. And that's by intention. He wants to show that traditionally Irish whiskey did not sit in a cask for years and years and years. If you put quality going in, you get quality coming out.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm kind of getting like more of the tobacco chocolate stuff on the finish. Is that where
Yeah.
yours is? Okay.
I'm getting the chocolate kind of right at the start, but then it immediately goes into the tobacco.
Okay.
For
In the
me,
finish or the palate?
on the palate.
Palate. Okay. Let me try again.
The nose right at the end, yeah. On the nose right at the end, I was getting that chocolate. But I tend to also, chocolate is one of those notes that I tend to get in whiskey more than nutty notes. I'm bad about. I never seem to pick those up as easy.
Yeah, and I kind of get a little bit of almost like a walnut off of this, especially on the dry palate at the end.
That. Yep, I could see. Yes, I could see walnut on that. Yeah.
It's like, I'm going through my pecan, no. Cashew, no. Walnut, yeah.
I go for like almond, not almond. Okay, if it's not almond, then I got to think for a minute.
Oh.
And that's why usually Oloroso sherry, that does surprise me, because I think this is Oloroso. I'm pretty sure. And Oloroso usually leans into that almond.
That's really good. Again, very clean, even with the peat. So I think a lot of time people are worried about peat, and it might taste dirty. And
And
there are some dirty
actually,
peats, believe me.
yeah.
You know
This is,
that.
and I think peated Irish is sometimes that's a good area for people to start if they're trying to go down the peat road because it does tend to be lighter.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, and we do have some peated there. First of all, there's about 40 to 50 peated Irish whiskeys on the market right now. Some of them, like this Bill Phil that you see up right over there, that one.
Yeah.
That's about like to Port Charlotte. I mean, that's what it
Oof.
reminds me of. It's 50 ppm. But
Yeah.
most of them tend to be in that 15 to 20-ish.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's a good place to kind of get your feet wet.
Yeah. And I think the lightness too of the whiskey would help that go
Yeah.
in. I've and peat works well with young whiskeys. Um, so that's
It does.
another good thing about. I think this one thing about the Ardbeg Wee Beastie is so good is it's a 5-year-old whiskey, but it can handle that peat, and it's a good way of getting into it without breaking the bank too.
Yeah, you guys have gotten me hooked on Ardbeg now. My husband's still Lagavulin. He's a Lagavulin guy. And no, I'm Ardbeg all the way.
So maybe don't tell him that when I'm on Isla in June, I'm going to be staying at the Excise House on Lagavulin, where I'm going to actually be on right there. I'm so stoked.
Oh, he'll be so
I
jealous.
tell my coworkers the other day, I promise I'll come back, but I'm going to get over there and not want to. But alas, I have to come back to the job to pay for the whiskey in the next trip, right?
Richie, an Irish single grain. So that is, and I'm gonna have to dig up because I have not honestly looked into it in a long time. That is not barley. That is typically what you get. Well, no, some of it is. Some of it is. I'm gonna have to actually. I know a lot of it could be. There's wheat. There's corn in it. You're gonna notice a lot sweeter taste when you go into your Irish single grains.
So does the single part mean the same thing like a single distillery?
Yes,
Not the
that is
grain
it's
number.
all gonna be It's gonna be done at a single distillery.
Right.
You're gonna see examples. Teeling single grain. Look, Richie, for Teeling actually has a 13-year single grain that's finished in Bordeaux. That's very, very good.
Bordeaux.
JJ Corey has a single grain called the Hanson that is really, really nice. A lot of banana and tropical notes on that one. And W.D. O'Connell has a single grain that's actually really good as well. Method Madness does. Single grain is a really underrated category of Irish whiskey, and one honestly I have not looked into a whole lot. Although I'm becoming more of a fan the more I try it. It's usually used as kind of like an afterthought in a blend, but honestly, it could stand on its own if it's done well. West Cork peated Irish, looking for something new and prefer the Midnight Silky is a real good one. Kathy, you're speaking my language. I love everything that Sleeve League does. They're up there in Donegal, and Donegal knows peated whiskey. All right. So the next one. This is the first one we're getting into the 1900s.
It's amazing.
So this is from 1908. This is finished in a bourbon cask. This would have been, so this was when all the testimony was happening in Ireland. And this would have been a common mash bill you would get at some of these Dublin distilleries. Part of the reason for all the testimony was Mr. Aeneas coffee. This mash bill was inspired by evidence given to the Royal Commission on Whiskey and Other Potable Spirits in 1908. And the quote from one of the MPs for South Down, House of Commons: "Why is this commission composed mainly of Englishmen, seeing that whiskey is manufactured mainly in Ireland and Scotland, and that Englishmen know nothing about whiskey except the consumption of it?"
That's pretty apropos today. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some lovely English whiskeys that are
There
coming
are now,
out.
yeah, Cotswolds, I
However,
love that one now, but
how
remember
funny
this
it is
this
that
also is this is 1908.
those and well, they might be 1920. I mean,
Yeah.
2028. The way certain populations make laws for those things that they have nothing they know
Yeah.
about.
So Mr. Coffee took his little still there over there to the UK where they were interested in it. And at that point, Scotch was starting to take off. Blended Scotch was starting to take off, and Ireland was getting nervous and trying to solidify. Well, we're single pot still whiskey, so well, what is single pot still whiskey? So they start trying to define it, and they're bringing in all the big names of the distillers, and they had there's testimony from John Jameson, and there's testimony from Thomas Power, who was with Velvet Cap, and they happened to even mention that Thomas Power got a little a testy Thomas Power, that he wasn't a fan of doing that. But another reason Aeneas Coffee wasn't really well received in Ireland, well, Aeneas Coffee was a tax man, so they were used to
Yeah.
hiding from him anyway. So it's like, well, dude, they're not going to listen to you.
Is that it's a situation of if you can't beat them, join them. So I'll just go ahead and make up my own still and make my
I think
hometown
he had
whiskey.
seen all the illicit potching distilleries because distillers, these farmers,
Yeah.
because he was trying to bust them for so long to get the taxes, and that he decided to develop something that he thought would work better. And well, they're not going to listen to you because you've been trying to rat them
Yeah.
out for the longest time. And he went over there. Well, now of course they're embracing it, but took a little bit of time. Cheers, William Reynolds. Thank you for jumping in here tonight. Oh, even Scotch single grain has to be sweeter. Richie, I did a video on JJ Corey the Hansen. I'll have to go back and see because I remember researching it a little bit for that. It's just, I think my brain's like a shot glass. It holds so much information, and then you're going to get some spillage. So, you made it correct.
Thank you. The technical writer in me, I love you for that, Richie. You have no idea.
Yeah, you have no E in Scottish.
So
Yeah.
you can kind of see my slange, y'all. And I know in pronunciation, Scotch, we say that slightly different than the Irish pronunciation.
What is the Scotch?
Slange.
That's pretty much what it is. It's slancha.
Yeah. I've heard like one syllable like slange. And then I've heard, but I did it the way Jim McEwen did it, was Slange. So it's kind of got a ja there at the end, And then to make it Southern, you got to put the y'all. So all y'all, Slange.
Yes, there is no E in Scotch. Irish whiskey, actually, you can leave the E, you can throw out the E with the bathwater, nobody cares.
But I think you have to give major props to both cultures. As far as we're concerned here in the States, especially because as they came, both, folks from Ireland and Scotland came into the colonies. My people came from the Carolinas, and they were all Scotch Irish, on my dad's side. And they brought with them how to do this.
Yeah.
And all of that just infiltrated, up into Kentucky and Indiana and everywhere they could grow a grain in order to make this, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty interesting when you have like Michter's and you have and I don't know as much because my problem's not a problem because I can only afford to do so much.
Yeah,
And
that's
bourbon,
right. I could only follow One World Whiskey. I can't get too
like,
deep into anything else.
No, not to stay married, and I've been married a long time. But bourbon was never my thing. That's okay. I'm happy for everybody else. But those who made it with what they had, which was corn was going to be a whole lot more prevalent in the Americas, right?
Yeah.
And but you've got these same influences from the Irish and the Scots that you can see down into what is being made in the Americas now, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I think there's even record of them bringing stills over with them.
Hmm.
So some of them packed everything they had. I know the Irish, there's record from Ireland where they just brought it all over. So you definitely have if you trace that history back. And so that's why I'm like, you're nothing against bourbon. I'm starting to enjoy it. Everybody on Whiskey Tube has recommended some things, and I've found some brands I really do enjoy. And I'm like, well, of course I'm going to gravitate to Ireland, and people like IDL. I mean, well, they got 300 years on you guys.
Yeah,
So, I mean, they figured a couple things out in those 300
a
years.
little bit.
So this one is 50% of the malted barley, 35% barley, 15% husky oak. The ABV is 43.5%. And this is all aged in a bourbon cask. And this is a classic Dublin pot still type. And this is from evidence of the Royal Commission on Whiskey, where they were trying to literally determine what Irish whiskey was, because they would go into these pubs and they would be serving whiskey and they would bust them, this isn't whiskey, because they called it I think they called it like the silent still, which was a coffee still. It was column still.
Oh, okay.
And that's not Irish whiskey. Irish whiskey is pot still. So they're trying to bust them, like, well, wait a minute, you don't have any record of anything saying what Irish whiskey is. So that's where all of that started rolling about. And it was it happened at a very unfortunate time. The just couldn't get out of your own way kind of thing. Because they had some other unfortunate things that will happen that we'll talk about when we get in the next one. But this was when Irish whiskey was starting to be at its height. In popularity, where they had the cognac situation, where they had like some disease that killed like all the
it killed all the grapes, so
it
people
killed all the
started
grapes
drinking
with
whiskey.
cognac. So at that point, well, hey, here's this other spirit that we're drinking. So now Irish whiskey was just at its peak in popularity.
Yeah, that's why France still consumes more Scotch than any other per capita than any other.
They drink a lot of Irish too. They've got Irish only liquor stores there.
Okay, so I am getting total cocoa on the nose.
Yeah.
I don't know if you. I mean, then I was like, well, I'll be damned, because that's very tiny writing and pretty
I know.
grain
I had to
and
take my
red
glasses
burnt.
off because that's like, yeah,
Dark cocoa powder and cocoa powder, not chocolate bar.
no, yeah, you can get cocoa powder on this one. Like,
That's so wicked.
I get a little bit of the cereal too, so I can definitely tell there's more malted
Yeah,
barley in this one.
more doughiness.
Yeah. And a little bit of kind of like almost like apricot, which I typically get with a bourbon cask. Well, it's apricot, or if it's citrus. Now I'm thinking it's kind of might be lemon. A little bit of lemon. Definitely the chocolate and the malt are the two that I'm getting the most.
Yeah, it's the palate sweet right up front, very front of the palate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of I want to say almost like a confectioner sugar.
Yeah, like the metallic kind of sugar, a little bit metallic on that. But
And then it goes dry. What's that heat? It's not really ginger. It's not cinnamon.
allspice,
No,
clove.
I'm getting more of a almost like a white pepper, or we like our pepper down here in South Louisiana. It ain't a cayenne share, I'll tell you that. Wow. So this one, ABV wise,
I get a
more
bite
than
kind of
the
like a
last.
nutmeg. But
Yeah.
yeah,
On the finish, huh?
yeah, the finish is like that nut with the classic single pot still, like what you typically would expect, like a spicy nutmeg.
Like get to the finish and then like breathe in again through your mouth. And
Yeah, that's nutmeg.
mhm. So EMC,
Oh, yeah, I really get
I
that
don't think,
chocolate too.
yeah,
That cocoa.
EMC. I don't know that I've had mace. I don't know
I
what
don't think
mace
I have
is.
either.
I don't have.
I thought it was similar to clove, but I haven't had it before.
I mean, can you explain to me what would you put that in, or what
Yeah.
flavoring is that? We ain't got that on the Bayou. No, none at all. So many.
Emily, you obviously do a bit more baking than I ever do because I suck at baking. I won't bake. I make two things. I make Irish cream cookies and I make bread pudding, and that is end of list.
Bread pudding. Yes. Now you're talking. Um, I have a really good recipe for bread pudding that Justin Wilson did that has great bourbon sauce.
Oh, I'll have to send you mine. Mine has an Irish whiskey sauce and raisins in it that are soaked in port Irish whiskey overnight.
Ooh, yeah, I need that. So, we have a
It's only part of it's mine. That part actually came from Wayward Irish Spirits, the Liberator. The owner, Morris O'Connell, told me that one, and it's my go-to now. Yeah, but this one, full transparency, out of the four, this was my favorite.
this
And I
is
think,
you can't run from the cocoa on this.
yeah,
It's
I like
everywhere.
the cocoa, and I like that little bit of spice to balance out the sweetness.
Yeah.
And I've gotten more. This is the most fruit I've gotten on one since the first one, but it's a different kind of fruit. It's more of like a red berry.
Yeah. It's the most balanced one we've had so far.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
I'm liking 1908 for sure.
Yeah, see, me and you are on the same page. I was the only one that liked the 1908.
You have superior palate, child.
So for our last sample here, we are going to 1915.
Okay.
This one is 40%
Oh wow.
barley, 30% of the malted barley, 15% husky oat, 12% Costello wheat, and 3% performer rye. And this is aged in a rye cask.
40-30.
And this is 44.2%.
So it's interesting. I want to look at this mash bill. Good gravy.
There's a lot going on
Coming
here.
from Scotch, it's like there's a
And
lot.
that's one of the things, honestly, that got me into Irish whiskey that I love is there is such room for the variety between the fact that you can use any casks that's already had alcohol in it. And as long as you don't call it, single pot still, single malt, single grain, you can mix up the ingredients pretty good.
Play like your compass box.
Exactly.
Okay, so mace outside of nutmeg, fine ground. Kind of like the nutmeg, but ginger type heat. Interesting.
Okay. That might be exactly, what she's describing is exactly what I was.
So we have a fabulous spice store in town, and I went and grabbed a little bit of all kinds of things and made my own nosing kit.
That's a great idea.
There's a video on. But I'm gonna have to go back and go get some mace now because I want to add that to the kit.
I've only done that with baking spices, and that's because I say, I can find baking spice, especially single pot still whiskey, but I always have a hard time narrowing down what it is. Like the easiest thing, people can identify baking spice, but you really have to kind of sit and dissect
Is it clove? Is it nutmeg?
Yeah, is it ginger? Is it
right.
it allspice? Is it nutmeg? Is it
right?
Yeah. And now is it mace?
Anise or anise, however you say it.
And anise I can pick up. That's one of my favorites. That one I usually can pick up pretty easy. Oh, you learned to dice. Man, Emily's a smart cookie. So this one from 1915. This was inspired by a mash bill from Allman's Distillery in Brandon, County Cork. So this is a more rural area, which explains all the different grain variety would have been common.
It was like the sweep the floor mash bill. Well, we got a little bit of that.
Actually, you're spot on. They said What they do is actually something that Cologne Distillery in County Down has resurrected. They measure by the bag. And whatever bag was open and available was what they happened to use. So that's what created this one.
Hey,
So
Katie.
this,
Sorry. My boo Katie came in.
oh, Katie Turk. Hey, Katie Turk. I got a care package from Katie Turk too. I'm so excited.
Katie is Santa's elves, if you ever wanted. Katie and Ethan are from my neck of the woods. They don't live here now, but they're from here.
I've actually, they sent me a blind flight of I'm pretty sure it's bourbon. So I'm gonna, as soon as all the craziness from March dies down, then I'm gonna we'll either go on my channel or yours, you guys, and I think she said we'll go on mine, but I'm excited to try all that. I've been kind of eyeing them and it's killing me not to open them.
Awesome.
You do get right on in Red Restless Doe. I do get a little spice on that. I also get quite a bit of wood notes on that one.
So, Emily, yeah, no wonder they call mace. Gee whiz, that's the only connotation I had to it. Oof. Okay, good to know. Small doses.
Yikes. So this one came out, would have actually been around the time that Irish whiskey was starting to get in some trouble. Between the Easter uprising, between Prohibition, between the rise of Scotch starting to really take off. This one was a common one when you had Dublin kind of flipping out, figuring out what was going on. You had the smaller distillers still out in Cork trying to come up with stuff, and this is typically what they would have had, which is why there's more, especially I love the rye starting. You're going to see a lot more rye this year with Irish whiskey as well. Cologne just released that I have up here, which I'm going to send you actually another sample set because I meant to include this one. I completely forgot of some of their stuff. And honestly, I think like I said, I love Irish whiskey, but we just can't get out of our own way. They were more focused on distillery at the time and not brand. And that is where Scotch had the advantage. You had Johnny Walker that they got their patent in 1908, I think it was. Irish whiskey, Jameson did not apply for the patent for Jameson until 1968.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. No wonder somebody didn't come through and swipe it.
Yeah. So, and that was by that point, all the distilleries had merged into Irish distillers. So it was, they didn't help. They had a lot going on and didn't help themselves a whole lot. You know, there were a lot of outside influences on the whiskey industry, but unfortunately, Ireland, the good thing was Ireland did what they could to come together and keep the market going. Today, if you include distillery licenses, whiskey bonders, there are over 70 on the island of Ireland right now. If you're talking about active distilleries, there are 44. 42 or 44. I can't remember which. I think one of them, well, I know Connacht is still for sale. Liam, we could pull together 20 million and we could buy Connacht.
You know, when the lotto was like 1.2 billion, I was like, I win that, I'm gonna be like Oprah. You get a distillery, and you get a distillery, and you get a distillery.
Well, let me tell you, wouldn't be the first Americans to buy an Irish distillery. So
no, I'd be ringing up some folks big time. Hey Jim, Mr. McEwen.
Yeah.
Want to meet me in Campbelltown? I think so where in Ireland, so I'm assuming that you would create one in Ireland.
Yeah.
As opposed to Scotland.
I loved it there.
Where would you plop, or what would you resurrect?
That would be so hard. If I was just buying a house, I would do it in County Down because there are so many distilleries, obviously, like my shirt says, that I absolutely love. If I was going to compete with them, I would move as far from County Down as possible because those guys know what they're doing. I would probably pick somewhere like County Wicklow that doesn't, I mean, they have Glendalough, but they're in the mountains. I'm excited to see what, the Burren Distillery does. They haven't released their own whiskey yet, but that's really going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's a real gorgeous area. I have, I don't know, or maybe right in the maybe somewhere like right in the middle of County Antrim or County Fermanagh, just somewhere where there's nothing else around.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a beautiful country. I'm excited to get back. We were hoping to get back maybe this year, at least maybe fly into Belfast and see everything around there. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's so this trip I've got for Scotland is our makeup trip from 2020.
Yeah.
So I've had vouchers burning a hole from British Airways in my pocket. Then finally, it's gonna happen. So it's gonna be an epic trip. That's for sure.
We're trying to go back. Honestly, might have to push it to next year. I'm like, we need a roof. Probably should do that first. So
I hate it when you have to adult.
oh my God, I know, right?
When you have to be responsible.
I know.
I'm gonna go to Ireland and buy some more whiskey or put a roof over my head. It's just like, damn it. Why must I be responsible? Why? And life was so much simpler in 6th grade. We just didn't know it. Okay.
If I had known I could go to school for whiskey, oh my gosh, game changer.
I don't know. You might not have appreciated it back then. I keep
That's
thinking
true. I
that
probably
too,
wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have.
It's like at the age that I am that finally discovered, as if I was Columbus or something, I discovered Scotch, and to be this loud Southern woman in Louisiana talking about whiskey, which is hilarious, I have to say, but it just goes to show like the openness of the whiskey community, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That you don't have to be the PhD in this. But I mean, I look at what I do and I look at what you do and what all of us in the whiskey YouTube community is just trying to make that connection between what we're seeing and what we're hearing and even what we experience to other people. And over the last 2 years, that's been a big damn deal, So I think it's awesome, especially new channels, like your channel, like my channel. I can remember when you said, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm like, do it, just do it. Just start,
This is exactly why, is because I was thinking about doing it and everybody said, oh, you should do it. And it just that's the whole reason I did it. I mean, people only knew about what they saw on their shelves. I'm like, wait, there's all these other brands, right?
Yeah. And you make it approachable.
Like I said, I heard, well, there's no, all Irish is 40%. No, it's not.
Mm-mm.
I have to actually look to dig to find a 40% on my shelf anymore.
Wow.
Outside of Bushmills.
You've made this presentable to people and they, step outside their comfort box. They can step away from just what's available on their shelf. And because people don't know, they don't know.
Yeah.
About anything, you're able to tell them about this avant-garde history lesson in a glass. And I guarantee you, I mean, it's going to pique people's interest. They may not buy it right away, but they sure are going to look into it or wonder what else is out there.
And this is for somebody who's really fallen down the rabbit hole, really wants that kind of connection to history. But if this, makes people want to look at the other brands that are available, then I call that a win, because there is so much good Irish whiskey. They ship to you guys in the US. It ain't, I mean, it's not the cheapest, but I mean, basically for a bottle of bourbon, you can get an awesome bottle of Irish whiskey. Hey, cheers, Hanging AZ. So what did you think of this one? This one, I get a lot of citrus on this one.
Yeah.
I get a lot of orange, specifically like orange.
This one is the most Scotch-like of the 4.
Thank you, AZ.
Not good, bad.
There's a lot of good stuff out there now, man.
I really, the nose is almost perfumey.
The nose on this one kind of reminds me of almost like a Redbreast PX, because honestly, the first 2 things I get are orange and chocolate.
Yeah.
The chocolate though is definitely a dark chocolate.
See, I would have guessed sherry on this rather than rye on the
I would
nose.
have too. Yeah, I would have too. Yeah, this is like a dark chocolate bar, like a Ghirardelli or like a good chocolate.
Mm. So you talked about this one. Look at that. Orange blossom, dark chocolate, tropical plum pudding. What a hoot.
Okay, so the first two notes of it are the two notes that we're getting.
Are we good or are we good? You heard it here, folks.
Oh, thank you, AZ. I appreciate it. Guys, have like I said, grab your mom's phone, have all your cousins subscribe. I said the
Absolutely.
second that I hit 500, I'm at 405. I
Oh
said as
my
soon as
gosh.
I hit 500, I will create a Patreon and I'm going to start doing giveaways where every month somebody can win samples of all this stuff you guys see me buying all the time. If you follow me on Instagram, you see what I'm getting in the mail.
Oh yeah. And that's a big deal. So I do want to, so let's do a sidebar thing because it is a numbers game.
Mhm.
That's not why we're doing this. You or me is a numbers game,
No.
but it is important to get the numbers up. And so one of the other things is getting your view hours up. And people just you got to go cut the yard. Put Stacy's
Yeah,
marathon on, hit play,
I did
and
that with you.
go cut the yard.
Yeah.
That's literally how I met my how I met my hours
I
after
did
I
that with
hit
yeah, I did
1,000.
the same thing.
You know,
With
you
yours,
just
yeah,
do it. And it's Jones in the system, but the system has to be Jones
yeah,
because our our niche is so niche.
yeah,
The whiskey community is very tiny compared to the YouTube videos that are doing a review on the latest web camera. Okay, that's massive humanity and a much broader
yeah,
audience. So there are hours. It's there's really no comparison in the types. And don't get me started. Clearly, I have an opinion, but exactly, Richie, hitting the like button, all of those things help support this
yes.
channel, being able to do that. And when she's able to do, especially do Patreon, or, in my case, I've hit where I've got channel memberships and,
Mhm.
the super chats and things like that, that really does help. I mean, my first YouTube check um, helped me get and pay for part of my trip to, I mean, part like a fraction,
Yeah,
but
like a
it was a
little bit.
big check. That's my point. But to get to the Victoria Whiskey Festival, and to buy
Mhm.
some gear to be able to talk to people and record while
Yeah.
I was up there, and it's a big, big deal to help, especially new channels get going. So, um, you're doing really good content,
Well,
and people
thank
want
you, I
to support
appreciate
it.
that. I really I wanna get to that. I set myself that 500 limit, and I really wanna get to it just for the fact that I wanna be able to share more of this whiskey out. A lot of times, people might be on the fence because some of the I mean, as you know, with Scotch,
Yeah.
it's stuff isn't cheap, or it
No.
costs money to get it over here, and it costs a little more money to buy it. So I'm happy to be able to share that with people before they take the plunge on a bottle.
Yeah.
So that I'd already kind of set stuff out. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm going to be doing. So if I hit that goal, then I'm like, all right, once a month, I'm going to start sending out everything that's on the shelf. I don't care if it's the last bit I have in the bottle. I can always get more of it. If I can't get that bottle, I can get another one or
So,
something. There's
so
always
here's
something out.
here's my mantra on FOMO bottles, especially because there are times where it's like, oh, I really wish I'd had that bottle again, or I wish I'd bought second one. You know, be happy you had it. Don't be sad it's gone. Because you got to experience it. And I say you as in me and anybody.
There's always another FOMO bottle coming.
Yeah, and there's going to be more. Just keep going. Now there are a couple of bottles I wish I still had that I took care of earlier in my whiskey journey that I think I probably would have appreciated more now than I did then,
Mhm.
because I just didn't know any different. But that's okay because I'm gonna find some more.
One of the ones I'm going to send you is actually one that is from an Irish whiskey bonder, and it is a Bruichladdich Lacandal.
Oh, Oh. Wait, you had me at Lottie.
Well, hopefully it won't scrape across the floor. No, I'm able
Thank
to slide. You guys might see my fancy jammy pants, but
Oh gosh. Thank you, AZ, hanging AZ. I'm guessing it's Arizona. Oh, Brooklady. Very interesting. Okay.
so
Where's
this
that?
was sourced by an Irish whiskey bonder.
An Irish whiskey. So tell me about what's an Irish whiskey bonder?
An Irish whiskey bonder procures casks from other distillers and will do aging and finishing and blending.
Okay, so it's like an independent bottler of it. Okay.
Yes, they're an independent bottler. They are in the U.S. W.D. O'Connell is Docky O'Connell. Brilliant man.
Okay.
He's one of the gentlemen. Next time I'm over there, I have a list of people to meet, and Docky O'Connell is pretty high on the list. My husband and I are both big fans of his. And he manages to procure some really great casks. And does blending. And that was one that I picked up for Belfast Whiskey Week in 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I bet that's an event. Oof.
We went virtually.
Okay.
I want to go
going in real life.
I do. I want to go to Whiskey Live. Might not get there, but I'm hoping we get to Ireland if we can get there in November, we could go to Poachine now, which they had their first one this past year.
Okay.
Poachine is one of the 3 Irish spirit categories in Ireland that they actually do a technical file for.
Oh,
so
wow.
They have Irish cream, Irish whiskey, and Irish Poachine.
Okay.
Which I have a ton of it back behind me, but I want to get to that. There's the Cork Whiskey Festival that just started this year.
Ooh.
There is the Southeastern or Southwest Whiskey Festival that's coming up. There's starting to be a lot more of them now.
Yeah. I've been to a couple whiskey festivals in the States that were, heavy barbon, right?
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
That Victoria Whiskey Festival in Victoria, BC, about 3 weeks ago, I went to, was amazing. And I would say it was 60% Scotch, and probably there was a smattering of American whiskey, just a wee bit. And then I would say same with Irish. And then probably about 30% world whiskeys, probably Japanese, and Amrit was there too. So it was very interesting. And there was like 44 master classes of tastings. It was incredible. Probably that's going to be the gold standard I think I'm going to have for all the other ones. But I'm like you, I want to go to Glasgow in November for the Glasgow Whiskey Festival.
I've been told to not go to Whiskey Live this year by someone from Cork. He actually said that there's some big sporting events this year. They did not schedule it well. So the hotels this year go for like $1,000.
Oh, geez.
And a lot of people even outside of Dublin are like, I'm not going to that mess.
Oh, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah. So this one, now that I went back to it and I drank that last little bit, and boy, it was all orange.
You ain't lying, girl.
Yeah. Once you let that sediment in you, but I always like an orange. Yeah.
Okay. So you know how you get like a flash of a memory when you associate that taste or smell?
Yeah.
It's an orange Pez.
Oh, now see, I'm gonna have to go back to that now.
It's like this slightly chalky citrus.
No, I get that on Jameson orange. I get orange Tic Tacs.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Oh my gosh. Almost orange baby aspirin. Wow. I like that a lot though.
I do. Yeah, I like this one.
Oh, these were really good. I'm gonna have to pour just a wee bit more. And see, I do this. I leave this much in here. Like, why? Just drink it all.
I do that as well. Then I usually like the next day I'll go back through them.
So when the what I will off, tell you, I will not do is I will not wash my glasses tonight because
I
I'm
love
so
the
weird.
smell of glasses in this stuff.
I'll let them dry, and then I go back and smell them
I
some
love
more.
that. I do the
I
same
do.
thing. No, I instantly, if I see a glass and I pick it up and nose it,
So,
because I love
it
that.
makes total sense because the alcohol is gone, right?
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there, and whatever is left is gonna
Mhm.
tell you more about the nose than
Mhm.
probably what you got off of it on the front end.
Especially the single malts, I'll get a lot of that. I love that musty malt funk that you get on the glass.
Mm. Bow, bow,
I'm
ba-dum.
not getting baby aspirin, but I am getting
Not so much the aspirin part as the orangey kinda
like orange
chalky.
tic like orange Tic Tacs is what, but
Yeah,
it's not as strong orange. It's not like a Jameson orange.
no.
Um,
Alright, I've got enough. I just
and I
wanna
think
go
the aspirin is because of the
smell each
rye.
one
This is rye
again.
cask. So there's that little bit of herbalness to it.
Yeah. No dill pickle, the
But I tell you, I mean, I could sit and drink this and would be fine for a night. And it kills me. These are 4 years old.
that's amazing. 4 years old in that climate, not 4 years old in a warehouse
No,
in
not
Waco,
4 years old in
Texas.
Texas. No.
You
4 years
know,
old
where
in West County Waterford over in Valley Duff.
yeah, so I'm like number 3. So number 3 is the '08, big
Yeah.
time, much maltier on that one. Yeah, the
And isn't that amazing? The
1915 is
difference you can tell between
yeah,
the ones that were done in Dublin City versus the ones that are more the countryside whiskeys. It's amazing to me the difference just in that.
yeah, 93, I'm getting the peat far greater now as compared to the other ones.
Yeah, I
That's
think
where
it
I
just
go ahead.
needs time to open up, I think, maybe.
Yeah. I think that's where I learn more is in comparisons. Like pouring 2 and 3 things at a time
Mhm.
and then just like smelling across because the comparison is like doing the math in your head of what's
Mhm.
different. So it makes other things jump out. Whereas if you just have one thing and you
Totally
don't have
agree.
anything to compare it to, right?
I totally agree. I've started actually doing that in some of my reviews because I've noticed it blows my mind. The difference is when you actually sit one down and compare one to the other. The big one was the McConnell Sherry versus the Lee Mavati PX single malt. I brought that in and did a comparison. And before I've gotten orange on the Lee Mavati single malt, but never to the extent that I did when I had them sitting side by side. I'm like, that was all freaking orange. It was like
Yeah.
drinking orange juice. It was crazy the difference. Hey, Ben. It's good to see you. One of my mods in here can drop Ben's link to his channel. It is such a good time. Ben is in training for Met Madness.
Oh
Ben, I know
boy.
you're going to do great, even though you don't have COVID this year.
Good love with that. That's epic.
Ben honestly did really great last year and he had COVID, so he could barely
Oh my
taste things.
gosh,
And he
how?
still did great. And so
Oh
I'm
my
like,
word.
I know he's going to do great this year. He has an amazing palate. He really does.
So, I've caught bits and pieces, but that's doing blinds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is scary as hell, uh, especially especially on camera. So I was part of the SMWS one this fall, well, in December.
I like how he did it this year, where he let people he actually picked the channels and didn't just let people, because I'm like, my God, if somebody nominates me, I'm going to be the easiest win because I'm not going to know any of the bourbons. I mean, let's be real.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Oh, Irish Miss Honey. Yeah, he'll probably like it, honestly. Ben picked me up a bottle, an old school, like 2016 era bottling of Bushmill 16 that he keeps teasing me about that he didn't get for me.
time to deliver.
He's a good dude. Yeah, he's a real good one. His channel is great. I know he is going to do amazing at Met Madness.
That's awesome.
These are so what kills me. These four are from. I mean, you're talking what, 20 years? A little more than 20 years. less than 100, less than 100. But they are vastly different, all four of them.
Yeah. So what's the price point? I mean,
So
are they bottling it or is it in sample size?
it is, so these kind of bottles, it's Irish sizing. These are actually a little smaller. These are 200 milliliter bottles,
Okay.
which was smaller, honestly, than I realized after drinking 4 decent size samples and then ordering it. Yeah.
Then they get you after you've had those.
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker. But okay. So they are not cheap. Honestly, he spent 20 years researching this stuff. So some of it he spent a good amount of time into these. For the 4 bottles that come in the nice little
Mm-hmm.
display box, they come with a nice descriptor that tells you about the samples, and you also get a copy of Peter Mulryan's book, the pictures that I showed you, all the
Yeah.
little information, all historical information's in here. And that was €250. So it ain't cheap.
Not
But
cheap at all.
if you are super, super into the historical aspect of whiskey,
Mhm.
if that's the kind of thing that interests you, I do think you will enjoy this. Obviously, this isn't for everybody. Don't expect it to be. But I mean, like I said, this one was one that I pulled the trigger on, and I'm glad I did. I really, especially after reading the book, there's a lot of really interesting information in there. Hey, Paul, Viking Bourbon, cheers! Thank you for joining me and Leanne tonight. Hey, Cheech Artolino, whiskey over Super Bowl. I totally agree. Since the
Yes.
Bengals are out, I don't give a
Mhm.
care.
Dallas, the Saints, and the Bengals aren't in it. I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a
Yeah.
Browns fan, so our team's never in it. So it's pretty easy for me to skip Super Bowl every year.
But can we talk about Joey B just a little bit? Because the guy
He's
is
such a good kid. So
so
yeah,
great.
so my high school and his high school play football, and together they're
Oh
in
my
the same
gosh.
conference.
And I mean, I've met his parents a couple of times, around LSU. I literally live less than 5 miles from LSU, and used to work at LSU. And, just, fantastic that what he did for Louisiana and for, uh, the college is amazing. But that national championship game against Clemson
What he
in the
has done,
dome.
honestly, for that area, it's southeastern Ohio is considered part of Appalachia,
Yeah.
and it's an impoverished neighborhood. It's not a populous neighborhood. There's a lot of people that are living below the poverty line, and he has brought in so much to that neighborhood, into that area of the state. It's just amazing. And even more, he's brought a lot of pride into being
Mhm.
from that area,
Yeah.
which I appreciate more than anything, and I will love the kid forever. I mean,
Well,
I love. It's so cool to also to say that yeah, I grew up 20 minutes from that guy. We play high school, or my high school football team plays against his. I'm fairly certain they got their ass kicked that year, but
well, during his Heisman speech, and he talked about that. He talked
Mhm.
about his roots and where he was from, and that a lot of people had to struggle just to even figure out how they were going to eat, you
Yeah,
know, and the outpouring of support for the food bank, like boom, like that's one thing, our particular culture down here, you have to be resilient to live in South Louisiana because if it ain't a hurricane or a flood, it's something else that's going to get you down here. I swear. And you just learn to deal with it, and you learn to rebuild, and you pick up your fellow person next to you up, and you just keep going because there's no other alternative. You just move forward,
I saw
and
your flood pictures. I'm like,
yeah, and you just deal with it. But that's our camp. That's our weekend home. And
mhm,
it flooded a year before last. That's okay. Where I am right now, I was high and dry. But
yeah,
a lot of the people that were down, 99% of the people where our camp is, that is their home. That is where they live. They don't have another place to go. So you have to do what you can. And kudos to him by staying, true to his roots
mhm.
and understanding what people are. Um, He is just a big ass bad dude, though.
Yeah.
I love his
He's
fashion. I love that he walks
he's an
in a
outstanding
hot
athlete,
pink
but
suit.
he's an outstanding person.
Yeah, he is, and
And that's
his
all
folks are good people, and, so he will be back. He will be back. He will make Ohio
yeah,
proud.
he will.
He's,
So what do
and
you
we're
have coming up on your channel?
oh, goodness. Well, so I'm on Tuesday nights at 8 PM Central Time.
Mhm.
So Scotch on the Bayou live show, and what's Tuesday? Valentine's.
Oh, that's
So
right.
so,
That's right. I forgot about that.
if you got one, have fun and come see me. If not, come see me. But we're actually Tuesday night, we're gonna be talking about wine matured uh Scotch whiskeys, not just sherry, but some other types of wine maturation. So we're
I
gonna
love
kind of
red
go
wine
through that.
finishes. That's my jam.
Oh
I'm so excited.
man, just some really nice things that can be done. You know, maybe starts out in bourbon and then gets finished another couple of
Mhm.
years and something else is a little sweeter. So we're going to talk about that. The next week, the 21st, is Mardi Gras. So we're going to have Mardi Gras up in here. Laissez le bon temps rouler and all that kind of fun stuff, let the good times roll. So we'll have Mardi Gras, and that's actually coming up on my 1 year of lives
Oh,
on
wow.
YouTube, which is crazy that it's been a year.
Oh, I know. I swore I never do live. I swore I never have a channel. I started a channel. I swore I never do lives, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah, don't ever say that. Roy said that too. Aquavite. He told my friends, my buddies, the Scotch for
Yeah, I
Dummy
remember
guys, "Oh no, nah, you're never gonna get me on that's YouTube." Now he's doing 3-hour shows, you
that.
know, and has this glorious community that he's built, and he is such a delight. And that's the thing. I mean, everybody who's in this has been great. Oh, that's a lovely
Yeah.
Valentine's Day,
Well,
Kathy.
Kathy, you know what? You gotta tune over to Leanne because I have a feeling you'll need a drink after that. I know I would.
I hope you get a refund so you can buy some bottles and not have to be put on a budget because you have to pay. Goodness. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. I've got a couple other videos, production videos that I'm trying to get out the door and some camp drams. So I typically do my reviews at the camp, and it's basically a little 425 square foot shack in the middle of the
Oh,
swamp in South Louisiana.
I'm gonna send you a camp dram.
And it's so much fun. But right now there's about 9 inches of water all the way around it. Oh my word.
Canned Irish whiskey.
I saw that at Victoria.
I'll send you one of these.
Okay.
I have
Awesome.
extra.
And so we just go and we chill. We have lots of alligators down there. We have more birds than you can count. All the migratory birds come through, so it's really cool.
Do you
Do
guys get
that.
all this the starlings down near you?
We get starlings, but we get
Sorry.
Rosetta spoonbills come through. Like you'll sit there on the dock and all of a sudden this flash of pink goes over, and it's
Oh,
like
that'd be so much
10,
prettier
15
than those black
rosebuds.
starlings that just poop on my car.
And we get a lot of waterfowl birds, lots of different geese and cranes and
That'd be so cool.
egrets,
That'd be so cool.
herons. Yeah. So it's an amazing place down there for sure.
You got a
You
lot
have
of
to
cool
come
stuff
and
coming
see
up.
me.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm all about leaving the cold of Ohio and heading south.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, if you come visit me, do it between September and May. Because from May to August is like the face of the earth. I'm gonna face of the sun, but wet. It's so humid.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's so
Yeah.
humid. Yeah.
And I would rather want to get out of the snow and cold and come down in the
Yeah.
wintertime.
Yeah. This is perfect time. It was, I hate to tell you, it was, well, today was a little chilly. It was like 63 today, but we'll be 75 next week.
I don't even think we hit 30.
Oh, geez. I couldn't. No.
This has been
Yesterday was,
actually, well, this has been the warmest winter that we've had in a while, with the exception of around Christmas. When I was finishing my Christmas shopping, it was -7.
oh, no, no, no. I saw that picture on
This stuff.
Instagram of you all bundled up.
Yeah.
No,
Like I
no,
gotta get shopping done
I can't
somehow.
do that.
So
Mm.
yeah. Like how much wool did Stacy buy in Ireland enough to keep warm that day?
Oh, these were just very
Well,
interesting and
I'm glad you
delightful.
enjoyed it. Thank you. I've got coming up. So I've got Adriana from Whiskey Mountain that's going to be coming on to do a blind flight that I actually sent her in May. She had to postpone, but we've got that coming up. I've also I'm going to have a video. I actually just bought my ticket today, where I'm going to an event with Teeling Whiskey, and I'm going to be getting to try their 32-year-old. It's a purple Muscat whiskey. I don't remember. I have the details in my email, but that's in in Columbus. So I'm going to get to try that. I'm going to record a lot of content for you guys for that. Then I know I'm going to be doing one broadcast from the South Side of Chicago, because we're going to go up there for the parade and the South Side Parade for St. Patrick's Day. And so I'm going to haul my equipment up there, and I'm like, it occurred to me literally today. I'm like, wait a minute, I have lives on Sunday. I'm still going to be in Chicago. So I'm going to suck my cousin up into doing that with me, who isn't
Awesome.
really a whiskey fan. So that should be interesting.
That
She isn't a whiskey fan, but she did drink like a whole bottle of Jameson with me a couple years ago when we went up there for the parade. Then I am going to be 1 week here. I still have to get with the participants for the dates, but Mike Stahl from Livewire Whiskey and Shayla from Whiskey Central
good.
are going to be doing a blind Irish whiskey battle. I'm going to actually go live a little later on the Sunday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time instead, to kind of a lead into Livewire. And I told him, I said, I will give you guys I will give the winning person $5 if either of you can name any of these bottles, because they're all from Ireland, and I know none of you have tried any of them.
No.
So I have got all of that coming up. I've got a couple other things in the works, but
Oh, good deal.
it's a busy month. Yeah.
Yeah. It's January just started off with a bang, like every other. I don't know. Do you have a local club you're involved with as well?
I have multiple local clubs. I'm actually, for those of you in the Central Ohio area, on February 18th, I'm actually doing a whiskey and cigar night with Bobby from Bourbon Battalion.
Oh, Bobby, give him a hug from me.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, please. See my buddy from Austin. I got to see him at the Bastards Ball in Austin last couple
I
years.
definitely will. I think he's staying at my house, to tell you the truth, because he just lives a couple hours north of me.
He's a sweet guy.
But he's coming down to help me. It's for the Ladies Ancient Order of Hibernians. We're raising money for an amazing charity here in town, for St. Aloysius Community Outreach. So all the proceeds go to them. We've got some live music. We have some good Irish whiskey, some good cigars. And then I'm supposed to be doing, and I actually have to meet with the bar owner here really, really soon, in March, to do an event in downtown Columbus, another Irish whiskey tasting with Columbus Ghost Tours.
Oh, cool.
So they're going to tell some ghost stories along with us doing that. Yeah, I'm in the Shamrock Club of Columbus. I'm in the Ladies Ancient Order Hibernians. I'm in the Central Ohio Irish Wolfhound Club.
That's awesome. Well, very cool.
February, March a little busy for me, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of y'all's month, you know. I mean, you know, we had Burns month, we had Burns dinners at the end of January for the poet Robert Burns, and I actually, instead of haggis,
I thought it was either the National Irish Coffee Day or Burns Night's got to change. I think Irish Coffee Day needs to switch to a different day.
Yeah, they were the same day, right?
It was the same day.
Yeah, no. Well, you could have an Irish coffee with
you
haggis.
Drink all day. That's all it is. Yeah.
That'd be okay. Have you ever been to New Orleans?
I have not. No.
Okay. Well, when you get down here, we'll go, and I'll take you to the Aaron Rose, which is one of the best bars down in the quarter. And their Irish coffee is just off the chain. It's so good. But no, I hope if it works out the Tuesday before St. Patrick's Day, great. If it doesn't, at some point, I would love for you to come on to Scotch on the Bayou to talk about Irish selections for Scotch drinkers, because I think sometimes, you know, whatever your lane is, you don't necessarily want to get out of your lane because you don't know. So, and for those in the Scotch lane, I think it would be great to have some different suggestions. We can kind of talk and cuss and discuss.
Yeah, we'll talk offline. Yeah, I am available that day. Yeah.
Yay. Well, we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Awesome. This has been awesome. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for coming on. Like I said, your name was the first one that caught my attention when I got this and decided I was going to do this. And um, I know my friend Brian Hennessy with Whiskey Chaser. If you're not sub to him, sub to him. He's on here as well. He shared it with Blackwater Distillery, so I think they'll probably be watching the replay tomorrow too. So Peter,
Awesome.
I hope I didn't
Well, they're
butcher
doing
it.
good stuff.
Yeah. They're yeah, I'm excited to see what they keep producing because honestly, at 4 years, this stuff is not.
Yeah. This is impressive.
Yeah, this is impressive. So, well, thank you guys all for joining me tonight. Thank you, Leanne, for joining me. You guys, if you're not subbed to Scotch on the Bayou, do it tonight. Tonight, she's got some amazing stuff coming up.
Thanks.
All right, sláinte, everybody.
On to y'all.